ever since the Nintendo Switch 1, we've always wanted themes on the Nintendo Switch. But take what I'm about to tell you with a grain of salt because something very interesting has been unfolding. Now, that screenshot button could actually be useful in the future because of the fact that themes might actually be correlated to the screenshot capture button. So what I mean by that is when you take a screenshot in game, you might be able to use that as your background, which would honestly blow everything out of the water. That would be really cool because then it's completely up to you how you want your Nintendo Switch to look. Now, right now, this seems like it's going to be using the idea that you can walk around and take pretty much any capture button. It doesn't have to be the dedicated camera button inside games because that essentially just takes a screenshot for you and delivers it in the game format, but it's still just a basic screenshot. So how exactly would this work? Well, you just go on, take a screenshot of what you want. May it be using the in-game camera, or may it be just taking a random screenshot of, let's just say, a tree from The Legend of Zelda because you really like the Great Deku tree or whatever the case may be. Maybe you want a background of the Master Sword. Also, this really comes to mind because then you can really customize it how you want to, and just potentially the Badge Arcade or something similar to that could return for this. Now, this I found really interesting. You can take a look at this right here, but overall, themes are the greatest things ever, and just maybe seeing them would be cool. Another thing that I think that they could add finally would be Nintendo Music on the Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 itself, because that right there would be the greatest thing. Not only will you be able to customize your home screen, but also you'll be able to customize the barren wasteland of music that there is on the home screen as well. So overall, all of these things together would make for a perfect experience when it comes to Nintendo Switch or even Switch 2. Because there's already methods that you can change your theme for your Nintendo Switch. Now, it's not exactly the greatest and more legit way, but you still could do it by using a plain Nintendo Switch and putting a little bit of tinkering to it. You will be able to get themes, and honestly, they look amazing. You can make your theme whatever you want. You can use an in-game capture, and it looks really amazing. So this is where some of that idea comes from. And Nintendo wouldn't have to do too much to innovate this idea on the Nintendo Switch or Switch 2. Because having this idea as a fact, it's pretty much just like, alright, so I want to take this idea, I want to take my screenshot from my tree in game, and then I just set to background, and then instead of having your boring black or white background, well then you got your screenshot that's going to appear there. They could even take this one step farther by monetizing their own background, so maybe that's how they're going to do it. Either we have Nintendo Music on the Switch itself, or you can have your own background by just taking a screenshot, or they're going to be selling backgrounds as well. So you can have a pure theme that is the Legend of Zelda, and every single icon is going to be the Legend of Zelda theme. The music is going to be the Legend of Zelda theme, pretty much like the 3DS. But then you have the free version, which is pretty much your version. You can customize your Nintendo Switch how you want to, jump in a game, take 1,000 screenshots and see which one's the best, and then place it down. Makes the most sense to me. Now, I found this extremely interesting because I think that this actually might happen. Maybe in 2026, the beginning of 2026, they're going to add themes. Finally, this is something that Nintendo fans across the world wanted to see for a long time. The 3DS done this very well, and seeing them gone out of existence is kind of sad. There was also a very interesting thing that inside of Nintendo Switch Online, you might be able to use points towards themes or something like that. Now, this was interesting as well because this would also be used as sort of an achievement system. So the way that I think that it would work is you go and you play the game, you get achievements, you get points, but there's a special little shop that you can buy either themes or you can straight up buy them with real cash. But by doing these achievements and things, you will be able to get special little themes that you weren't able to get otherwise until you do the achievement of some sort. So overall, I think that this would work very, very well. Then of course you got your paid theme, which is going to be like $3, and it gives you all that stuff that you want, like the Legend of Zelda. Maybe it's going to customize it, so instead of having just square little icons, you can have bubble icons. So honestly, bubble icons look the best. You just got small little icons on the bottom of the screen, and then your entire screen is taken up by some sort of theme. Now that right there is amazing. And also, there was another thing that I saw. It was about the eShop receiving themes. Now, if you don't remember the 3DS and the Wii, you saw different themes for those events. Different occasions would have special little themed music. So maybe we can see something. Maybe it refers towards music on the eShop, which, hey, I would take music, but seeing as there's no music on the eShop, adding a theme for a seasonal theme wouldn't make sense. Sometimes we do get themes, but it's not really that big. Now, I think that just maybe we will be seeing bigger themes for different occasions. Like if it's fall, you're going to have the fall theme. If it's Christmas, you're going to see little snowman and snowflakes and maybe Santa Claus or something in the eShop, or Santa Mario. That would make the most sense. So hopefully we could see something like that. But overall, all of these things aside, it just makes for an awesome, exciting event. Hopefully Nintendo follows through with all of this stuff, but judging off of Nintendo's track record, you can really see that just maybe they don't actually care about giving fans what they want. They can make a bunch of money if they just say, you know what guys, here we go, we've been greedy over the past couple of years, so here's your themes. You wanted to customize your Nintendo Switch eShop or your Nintendo Switch background? Well, there you go, you could do that. Seeing music on the console itself would be amazing as well, because hey, you can fully put the music that you want. If you're playing Mario Kart or something, you don't want to hear Mario Kart music, well, throw on some Legend of Zelda music or some Metroid music. Or if you're playing Metroid Prime 4, you don't want to hear a spooky, deep, dark sounding thing, well then slap on some Legend of Zelda music once again, and there you go. Or you want to have some Kirby music or whatever. I think that this works out great. And I think that adding music to an eShop that doesn't have any music really keeps you engaged with shopping. Because I remember on the 3DS, I was going all over the place just like checking out everything because the music was so good and it was so properly organized. So maybe with these themes, you can have different themes for the eShop, which would allow you to have it as it once was. Maybe there was a theme for the Wii U or a theme for the 3DS that the eShop would essentially look like the 3DS eShop with the 3DS music, so it would kind of be like a remix of those consoles. I think that this would be amazing. Like honestly, it would work so great. But I feel like 2013 or 2011 was a little bit of a different time for Nintendo. So maybe we could see a return, or maybe they like not having any music in the eShop and just rather straight up performance, because that's exactly where their plot line was going to be going for that. But anyways, what do you think about this? Do you think themes are coming and will allow you to use themes by just using a simple screenshot button? Because I think that makes the most sense. Because right now, I use the capture button because capturing a bunch of different pictures just to remember those events in games, but I don't necessarily use them in the way that you should, or the way that honestly I feel like would be great. Or sometimes I don't even use the capture button because it's like, well, I use the capture button. Can I please have this? Nope, okay, I can't even use a theme or anything on this, which is a little bit disappointing in my opinion. But overall, I think that it would be a great idea to see themes. I think it would be a great idea to see music. And honestly, who here just doesn't even use the brand new button on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller or the controllers themselves? I'm talking about the game chat button. Yeah, that button really should be used for something different. And in fact, you actually can change the mapping. So I have actually done that to a different button, which is pretty interesting. So why not themes? You're able to change your background. You're able to have a fully customizable Nintendo Switch. Make a lot of sense, Nintendo, and I think that many Nintendo fans across the world would like to see something like this. But overall, this is just grain of salt speculation. Now, of course, this was highly based off of a news heading that I saw, but still a grain of salt. So, Nintendo could be working on something, Nintendo could be working on achievements like we've seen previously, Nintendo could be working on themes or being able to capture different things. But overall, still a grain of salt, so make sure that you take that grain of salt, you either keep it close to your chest, or you're like, you know what, I don't care about the grain of salt, chuck it away. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you had an amazing day, or have an amazing day. And with that being said, I hope that you consider to hit the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers. Yeah, that's right, 3,000 subscribers. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get there, because maybe there's going to be something truly special waiting up at 5,000 subscribers. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. That being said, see you in the next one.